Hey everybody, I'm Chef Scott for Devil's Food Kitchen. Welcome to this week's recipe. It's a special recipe because a lot of you out there had a big hand in creating it. Not too long ago on Instagram and Facebook, I put out a little survey asking which ingredient I should use, pineapple or mango. And the majority of you chose mango. Mango is going to be the star of today's recipe. We're going to make a verrine, which is really just a catch-all term for anything that you put into a glass. And our verrine is going to have a mango cream with a yogurt panna cotta, and we're gonna do a fresh mango salsa. It's gonna be really nice and bright and summery because we've got warm weather now and I think we should celebrate it. Now, if you'd like to jump ahead to the method, you can do that right now. And otherwise, I'm gonna talk for just a minute about gelatin, what to look for in a gelatin and how to use it in your recipe. We're gonna get started with that right now. Because it's such a prevalent ingredient in pastry recipes and because we're using it in our mango cream and yogurt panna cotta this week, I thought we should talk about gelatin for just a minute or two. Now, I'm gonna put together a video on the entire topic because there is a lot of information about gelatin. I think it's really interesting and it is important if you're serious about pastry and baking. But today I just wanted to explain what gelatin is, what it does, and what to look for when you get it. So gelatin at its most basic is a hydrocolloid, which means a water stabilizer. Things like pectin and starch are also hydrocolloids. And stabilizing water is really important in pastry because it creates texture, it can make something firm or loose, it can affect baking and flavor. It's really important to stabilize just the right amount of water when you want to. And gelatin does that. Without gelatin, we wouldn't have stable mousses or creams or custards. Now, gelatin is an animal product. It comes from collagen. So if you have a dietary or ethical aversion to that, there are substitutions. They have a fish-based gelatin, and I believe there are vegan options out on the market. Or you could use a completely different hydrocolloid, something like pectin or agar. But that's gonna take some recipe adjusting and testing to get the same results. When you go to look for gelatin, it comes in two main forms, leaf like this or powder. Just about every pastry chef I know uses the leaf form, including myself. Now, I know the powder is easier to get, you can find it in grocery stores, but I think there are a lot of advantages to the leaf gelatin. For one thing, it's easier to measure. You're not dealing with powder, which is just messier. It hydrates and melts much better, I think, as well. Sometimes that powder can be gritty. Now, if powder's all you can find, that's okay, you can use it. And the next question then is, how do I convert powder to leaf gelatin? That is a super common question, and it's kind of difficult to answer because both powder and leaf gelatin come in different strengths. But I'm gonna put a graphic up on the video that explains some basic generalized conversions, although you may have to test your recipe. Now, if you do get leaf gelatin, it's gonna come in a few different varieties. Bloom strength is the term that refers to gelatin's firmness once it sets. At the lowest end of the spectrum is what we call bronze, usually 140 bloom. In the middle is silver or 160 bloom, and that's a really common gelatin in pastry kitchens. That's what I'm using right now. And at the very top is gold, which is usually 190 to 220 bloom. Now, the higher the bloom strength, the more money you're gonna pay, but I've never had a use for bronze or gold. Silver always fits what I'm doing in my projects. Using gelatin in a recipe is really simple. It comes in this dried form, and the first thing you need to do after you've measured out how much you're using is to hydrate it. And we call this blooming. I know it's a little confusing, but that's what it is. Now, we want to use a cold liquid. Avoid warm or hot liquids because that can melt the gelatin prematurely. Other than that, just about any liquid will do, although you do want to avoid any liquid with high acid. Tropical fruits and citrus fruits, they have enzymes that can break the gelatin down. Honestly, I just always use ice water. You want to place the gelatin fully submerged in that water and wait 5 to 8 minutes until it softens and increases in volume. One interesting fact about gelatin is that it can only absorb 5 times its weight in liquid. So if you had 5 grams of gelatin, 25 grams of cold water would technically bloom it. Now, for practical purposes, I often use much more water than that because it's just easier to submerge the gelatin into it. But you don't want to keep that gelatin in the water for too long because that can break it down as well. Once you remove the gelatin and you're ready to put it into a recipe, you want to squeeze out any of that excess water that may be attached to it or in its cells. And then it's time to melt the gelatin so that you can disperse it into your recipe evenly. Now, I just like to microwave my gelatin because that's a really easy, gentle method as opposed to doing it over the stovetop. Alternately, you could add your gelatin to a hot product, like if you were making a custard base that's on the stovetop. That will melt the gelatin and then you whisk it evenly into the mixture and then into the rest of your recipe. But if you're going to be adding that gelatin into a cold process, like a stabilized whipped cream, then you want to melt it ahead of time. That's really it. Those are the basics of gelatin. That's going to give you everything you need to know to get started using it in your recipes. And of course, this week we're going to go step by step through the method anyway, but I just wanted to share some of that info with you because it's an important ingredient to understand. With that, I think we can get started with our recipe. We're going to begin this recipe by blooming the gelatin. Submerge your gelatin in cold water, one sheet at a time so they don't bind together, and let it sit for about 5 minutes until the gelatin is soft and fully hydrated. Squeeze out the excess water and reserve the gelatin to use shortly. Combine the heavy cream, vanilla paste, and sugar in a sauce pot and whisk over medium heat. Once simmering, add your gelatin to the heavy cream and then whisk well to make sure the gelatin is fully melted and evenly mixed. Pour the heavy cream over the yogurt, mixing well one more time to homogenize the entire mixture. Cast the panna cotta into your verrines about 1/3 full. You can pour the panna cotta mix from a container or pipe it even, but I prefer using a sauce gun. While on the pricey side, a sauce gun is a really accurate, easy, and versatile way to distribute product. I put a link to the one I'm using below. Chill the panna cotta in the refrigerator until set. Once again, we're going to start by blooming our gelatin, and really that will almost always be the first step in a recipe that calls for gelatin. Next, whip the heavy cream just to soft peaks. I probably should have whisked such a small amount by hand, but I guess I was feeling lazy. Again, the cream should just be at a soft peak stage. Keep it in the refrigerator until ready to use later. Add the mango puree to a sauce pot, then combine the cornstarch and sugar and add it to the mango puree, whisking as you add it. Whisk while cooking over medium-low heat until the mango puree comes to a boil and thickens. It's really important to continuously stir during this entire step from the moment you add the cornstarch. Add the bloom gelatin and whisk well. Remove the mixture from the heat and transfer to a mixing bowl, then continue to whisk until cooled to 86 Fahrenheit or 30 Celsius. I like to whisk over an ice bath to speed the process up. Once cooled, fold in the whipped cream. And believe it or not, you have just made a mousse. I use a piping bag for the mango cream because it's too thick to pass through a sauce gun. Fill the glasses another 1/3 full. After adding the cream, tap each glass in the palm of your hand to even it out. Then chill the glasses until the mango cream is set. To make the mango salsa, begin by peeling and dicing both the red and yellow mango. I only plan to use half of each mango, so I'm only going to peel half. After the mango is diced up, combine all of the ingredients and lightly toss to evenly coat the mango in puree, lime zest, and chili powder. Spoon the salsa over the mango cream in each glass and serve chilled, preferably on a hot, sunny day. And although I didn't do it in this particular recipe, I've often garnished this dish with a little bit of cilantro. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and you give the recipe a try. It's really quick and really tasty and perfect for summer. Thanks for watching.